So who is Encore Wire? Encore Wire is a company based out of Texas. They've been around since 1989, and they manufacture copper and aluminum, and I think a few other metals as well. But the key metal we're going to pay attention to most today is copper. The reason is electricity. What we're going to do is the forum analysis with this stock. We'll start with the margin of safety. We'll use Tykr for the math part. That's the first part. Then we'll look at the meaning, then the moat, then the management. So let's go ahead and dive in. When you're logged into Tykr, you can first see that the score is 19 out of 20. That shows really strong financials overall. We're going to deep dive the financials in a moment. And then the margin of safety is 41%, which is pretty good. We do like to see a margin of safety of 50% or higher. That's that whole Ben Graham, Warren Buffett rule, is try to see a margin of safety 50% or more. In this case, it does show a little bit of upside potential, which is good. Again, we do like to see a little higher. So the share price today is roughly 106. The sticker price or fair value is at 180. So again, does show some upside potential on this stock. Of course, like I always say, if you want to see how we calculate these numbers, you can go to tykr.com. There's an education section, and within that, there's a section with all the calculations. You could certainly take these and go create your own version within Excel. But let's take a closer look at what we're dealing with. Now, this stock, I've got the 5-year chart up. It's returned, I was looking over here, total return over the last 5 years was 152%. And that's an annual return of 20%, significantly better than gold, or Barrick Gold in this case, was total return of 31%, annual return of 5%. Not great, like I said before. So let's take a closer look. With the financials, we can see the revenue was flat for a few years, which is okay. I'm just going to dial this back a little bit. Very slow incline, and then all of a sudden, most recent year, revenue just went through the roof. It went from 1.2 billion up to 2.5. So really impressive return there. And then you can take a look at the net income, really flat over the years, except the most recent year went from 76 million up to 541 million. That's really impressive. We're going to talk about the reason why here in a moment, and why you should probably pay attention to copper a little more than gold and silver. Looking over at EPS, which is very similar to your net income, it's just your net income divided by your outstanding shares. Again, you're going to see that big jump. We went from a 3.7 up to a 26.28. That's impressive. Free cash flow was pretty flat, went negative the previous year, but you can see a nice jump to 300 million the most recent year. Then we get to the balance sheet. This is where things get really fun. So the assets, nice steady increase. This is like picture perfect. Year over year until the most recent year, it took a nice jump. Liabilities increase. We do like to see this decline. In most cases, the increase is, it's going to sound like a broken record here, but it's typically manufacturing equipment in a manufacturing world, or employees, headcount. You're liable to pay payroll. This is the fun one. No debt on this business. Very impressive. And then the equity, that did increase a little bit, which is, that's a good sign, similar to the assets. So overall, the financials are looking really strong on this business. But let's spend a little more time on what do they do, what is the meaning of the business, and why is this something we should pay attention to? So looking at the business model, they sell to the following industries. Healthcare, data centers are the big one. You think of like hosting software applications or websites or any kind of tech. Data centers are really important. Well, what kind of wiring is used at these data centers? It's, the most conductive metal being copper is going to be a primary. You also have airports, military bases, oil and gas, transit, wastewater treatment, schools, power plants, and housing. So there's a lot of markets here that this business serves. They primarily serve through channel partner distributors. So those who know me know that I love channel partners, especially in the tech space. Well, in this space, they're selling through, I was looking at some of their partners here. I've got 3 different links on this article or this write-up I did. One is Springfield Electric, another is Border States Electric, the other is Lockheed Supply. And these are larger companies. They're not public companies, but they're larger. in the States, and they're going to sell a significant volume of product through them. And what they do is they're offering the service to the end user, which is typically, most cases, it's commercial, it's not consumer. In some cases, it's homes, of course, residential, but it's usually, commercial buildings. So that's a great place to be. They can focus, Encore Wire can focus strictly on manufacturing. They've got their distribution partners, their channel partners in place. So that's a really good business model. The key thing I really want to point out here is some of the news I found was really interesting. So the cable or copper wire market is expected to grow from 156 billion in 2020 to 267 billion by 2030. The reason is power generation, power plants, telecommunication, electricity, and any kind of products, especially bigger products. You think of EVs. Copper wiring is definitely in high demand for all these products and different kind of structures and buildings and so on and so forth. There's another article I found here in Forbes that said, "The race for copper, the metal of the future." If that article title doesn't grab your attention, I don't know what does. But so here's some interesting data I found about copper. Chile and Peru are responsible for about 40% of the globe's copper mining. Of the 224 mines discovered between 1990 and 2019, only 16 were discovered in the last 10 years. So we're running into a situation here, a supply and demand situation is how do we get more copper out of the earth? That is a big question, but where this business is going, this is something to pay attention to with other businesses that deal with metal, is recycling. So how fast can you recycle products? How efficient is your process of bringing all these metals in, turning them around, and turning them into usable products again? How do they do that complete process from A to Z is really important. This company seems to be doing it pretty well. They actually are starting up a new division of the company that's really focused on recycling, renewable energy. I know that's a hot topic right now, especially those interested in ESG, E being the environmental aspect. So this business is not only part of the manufacturing process of getting the products in the door, from mines, but also recycling. That's a hot place to be. So I think they're doing a great job there. I tried to look up publicly traded companies that were competitors. There are quite a few private businesses, not nearly as big as Encore, but some of them here you probably won't even recognize, but I'm going to list them off anyway. You got AFC Cable Systems, Cero Wire, Carlisle Interconnect Technologies, General Cable, and Southwire. So I'm sure there's probably a dozen or so more, but it shows that this seems to be a standout leader in this space in the public market. So just to quickly summarize where we're at right now, the margin of safety, financials look outstanding on this business. We know that copper is in high demand, especially since electricity is a booming market. With the competition, Encore does stand out from the rest, so the moat is looking really good. But let's take a quick look at the management. I was doing a little homework on the CEO, Daniel L. Jones. He's been the chairman and president and CEO since 2006. He's been with the company pretty much since the beginning, since 1989. Some of the roles he's served in include VP of Sales and Marketing, as well as Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. He's worked in various roles within the company. Is a really good sign. I like to see that business experience running different divisions of the company. Knowing that the company has really evolved from copper, it offers, like I said, other metals, including aluminum. They've opened up this new segment to the business, really focused on recycling. He's been through it all. He probably knows a lot of the competitors inside and out. He knows what works in the culture and what probably doesn't work. So I did not find anything negative on his leadership. I think that he's doing a great job from my perspective. This is a pretty I would say boring business, but boring can be good. I think if you're going to really capitalize in the market in the future, I see from a tech standpoint, data centers being really hot. Anything with like solar, you think of like solar panels and locations with a lot of solar panels. How do you conduct electricity in places like that? Healthcare systems, military is always hot. They're tapping into all those industries. And I think if Daniel and his leadership team can continue to build relationships and grow, and not only that, but like grow those channel partner relationships, that's a big deal. So in this case, I look at all four M's of this business as being really strong. Again, that margin of safety could be a little higher, 41%, pretty close to 50%. But really what I wanted to do in this video is just kind of get you thinking about other metals outside of gold and silver, because I get a lot of people writing me right now saying, hey, are you investing in gold? Are you investing in silver? Like, no, these are not good long-term plays. My returns are going to be probably lower than average if I were to do that. Whereas copper, this is a metal you should pay attention to. So I would suggest maybe taking a look at Encore, or try to do some homework on other businesses that deal with copper. You might find some really interesting business models, and you might be surprised by that summary and that score within Tykr. But let me know what you think.